So, I hope the stream will work flawlessly. Now it should work. So, welcome guys to the TechCentury live stream. Now, I haven't done such a stream in a very, very long time. I think it's over a year ago where I did the last live stream. And I just wanted to try the feature again to get some feedback from you guys regards to what content you guys want to see here on the channel, and also of course talk about the new MacBooks as well, since my MacBook that I made about the new MacBooks was one of the most successful I've ever done, and therefore I think it's quite an interesting topic to talk about. So anyways, welcome to everybody who is watching. I think it will probably take some time until there are a couple of people coming over here, especially since, again, I haven't done this in a very long time. So if you have any questions, this is also supposed to be a Q&A session, then just leave them in the chat below or in the comments. And then I hope that we'll get a good live stream started. I like your content on a 4K display. Thank you very much. Schwarters. Wait. Hi, yes, we are starting, Byron. Everything is done. I hope that you guys can hear me well and that everything works in terms of the video stream as well, because I tried this yesterday and I don't know, my DSL connection here at my office is just absolutely horrible, and I'm actually tethering from my phone right now because otherwise it wouldn't work at all. So we're already up to 16 viewers, so again, welcome everybody, welcome on board. Thank you very much for watching. And again, this is an open Q&A session, so if you have any questions, just leave them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. So I also, of course, want to talk about the MacBook, as I mentioned before. And I was personally planning on purchasing the new MacBook Pro for a very long time. I actually already had a buyer lined up, actually a good colleague of mine, who wanted to purchase my 15-inch MacBook Pro, and I was just waiting for the day where finally Apple released or announced the new MacBooks. But then unfortunately I was very disappointed because the prices are just crazy, especially here in Europe, also with the sales tax. And no matter, I mean, I like the touch bar itself and also the fingerprint scanner, but I can't justify like spending 2,700 euros on a 15-inch MacBook Pro when I have like the 2015 15-inch that I could just sell for like 1,300. So it doesn't make any sense. And I mean, I've had a lot of machines. I had the trash can Mac Pro that I sold a while ago from late 2013. I had the MacBook Pro, I had an Alienware, I had another custom gaming PC, and now I basically sold all machines and I only have the 15-inch MacBook Pro, which I use to produce all my content, and it works so flawlessly. And I'm very happy about that, especially because this is just a very basic configuration. This is just the standard configuration of the 15-inch. So let's see the comments. Could you do some more content on the new 4K LG display versus Dell 4K displays? I would love to, but honestly, I don't have the LG 27 UD68 anymore, and there's a simple reason for it. In Germany, you just have like a 30-day return policy, at least for most online stores, and that time was up and I had some dead pixels on the LG. I had pretty bad backlight bleeding, as I mentioned in the review, so I decided to send it back. So unfortunately I don't have it anymore, and I'm honestly not quite sure if the time is right to purchase a 4K monitor. Yes, they've become a lot cheaper than they've ever been, and I think the price will drop even more, but to just power a 4K display, you already have to have a pretty good computer. And even with this 15-inch MacBook Pro with a quad-core i7 and 16 gigs of RAM and SSD and everything, you really notice that the performance of the machine slows down once you connect it to a 4K display. So currently I'm using the UP2516D by Dell, which is a WQHD monitor, and there's a huge difference in terms of just performance of the machine. So you really notice that it has to drive less pixels And honestly, 2560 on times 1440 on a 25-inch display for me is good enough. So I'm not sure if I'll have some more 4K monitor content in the near future. I'm currently not planning on it. Of course, this is more interesting if you're, for example, also into gaming. So yeah, that might be an option that I might go in the future. But currently, there are just a lot of topics or aspects that I can't fully judge. I'm currently looking for an apartment or a house to purchase, and so I don't know how my office will evolve. I don't know what money I'll need to spend on that. So I'm kind of not at the point where I can say, oh, I'll just spend like $5,000 on, I don't know, like a gaming PC and a 4K display or whatever. So that's kind of difficult for me as well. So some other questions from Yuxiang Sheng. Sorry, I probably pronounced the username completely wrong in your name. Sorry for that. 13 and 15 inch new MacBook Pro. Which one do you prefer? Well, I have to say I only took a look at the new MacBook Pros in the stores, and I really liked the slimmer design, and also the keyboard wasn't as bad as I was kind of expecting. I haven't seen the ones with touch bar though, because they aren't available in most stores here, at least already. So usually I kind of prefer the 13-inch of the MacBook Pros also in the past, because I feel like they are very portable. They have good amount of power, especially also with the optimization that you need for things like Final Cut Pro. I mean, you can even edit like 4K content on Final Cut Pro 10, and you're absolutely fine on the 13-inch. But as I mentioned, my main machine is the 15-inch because I just need the extra power, and also made a comparison between the 13 and 15-inch MacBook Pro. Granted, this is of course the old version, but a lot of these aspects also carry over to the new one. So I'll just leave a link in the description below. Give me a second. Of my comparison between the 13 and 15-inch. Yes, again, they are the old ones, but aspects, for example, like the performance differences should be quite similar also with the new one. So I'll just post the link in the comments here, and already have the first spam here. So there's this. Sorry, I have to take a little bit of action here in terms of spam. Unfortunately, this always appears. Hello to everybody who's joining now. I really appreciate you checking out the live stream here. Again, this is an open Q&A, so just post your question in the comments or in the chat, and then I'll get to it as soon as I can. So, Daemonian, did you experience any problems with the trackpad, especially 3-finger drag, palm rejection issues? I assume you're already talking, or also talking about the new MacBook Pros, and I haven't used them outside of a store, so that's very difficult for me to judge. I haven't used the new machines personally. I didn't purchase it, so I can't judge that. So unfortunately, I'm not able to answer these questions, but I've heard on Twitter some people who are complaining that the trackpad is just too big, and that this results in some accidental presses, even though there is palm rejection and everything built in. So I'm not quite sure if this was really a good move for Apple, especially because I never felt that the trackpad was too small to begin with on the other MacBook Pros. Byron Davis, is this going to be an ongoing segment of this channel, live discussions? Because I think that would be a nice addition to the channel. Honestly, that's kind of my plan, but I have absolutely no idea how this live stream will do in terms of viewership. We're currently at around like 20 viewers, and I also don't know how it will do in terms of viewership after the fact, so in terms of the recorded segment. So depending on how that will turn out, I'll definitely want to make this in kind of like a monthly segment, for example, because I think that's a good way to answer questions directly instead of just recording a Q&A session video like a lot of YouTubers do. And I also hope to just increase the engagement here on the channel with this. It's not really too much about the views in terms of these videos, so it's fine that there are only like 20 people watching. That way I can also get to all the questions, which is very important to me. So We have another question from VIGP, 15-inch 2015, 256 gigabyte versus 2016 15-inch. Honestly, it just depends on your budget and if you're ready to make the switch to just USB Type-C and Thunderbolt 3. For me personally, in terms of value, I think the 15-inch is still much better. Yes, you don't get the latest hardware in terms of processor and also GPU performance. But that being said, the 15-inch that I have right here, let me check the exact just system specs. So I have the 15-inch mid-2014, but I think in terms of tech specs, it's similar to the latest 15-inch 2015 version with the 2.2 GHz Intel Core i7, 16 gigabytes of RAM, the Iris Pro with 1,536 megabytes, and the 256 gigabyte SSD. And for me, it works absolutely flawless also for editing 4K content of my AX100E from Sony directly into Final Cut Pro. I also have to mention that again and again, I work with Final Cut because 4K editing also on Macs in Premiere is a whole different story, and there's just a lack of optimization. And if you want to edit 4K content on a MacBook, I can always just recommend go Final Cut Pro. It's so much better in terms of performance. I have a maxed out 5K iMac at work that's on paper a lot more powerful than the MacBook that I have right here, and it struggles so bad with 4K footage in Premiere, so that's a huge shame. So I don't know, if you want to save some money and if you don't want to have the hassle with all the adapters, I think the 15-inch 2015 MacBook Pro is still a great choice. Moritz Anton Ibesich, he has two questions. What GPU would you recommend for the 15-inch? Is the 460 worth it? How big is the real-life difference between the i7, 2.6, 2.7, and 2.9 gigahertz? It's tough for me to answer because I didn't use all these machines side by side so that I can really answer them, say, I don't know, like the 2.9 gigahertz makes, I don't know, like a 30-second difference to the 2.6 gigahertz. It really depends on the task that you have. If you just want to do video editing, photo editing, I think you're absolutely fine with the standard configuration and you don't really have to take that much extra money to spend on that. I would rather recommend to get this, I don't know, for like external SSDs, for an external RAID, or other improvements to your overall setup, because even my 15-inch MacBook Pro in terms of 4K editing is still fast enough, and in terms of exporting times I can't complain. And whether, I don't know, like 10 seconds faster exports is really worth, I don't know, like 1,000 euros to you is something that you have to decide. But for me, I would rather invest that into other aspects of my gear. So I don't think it makes too much sense for most people to really spec out the MacBook Pros, especially the 15-inch, because it's already a very powerful machine. PKS thinks MacBook 12-inch M5 or the MacBook Pro 13-inch Touch Bar. Can't decide. What do you think? Honestly, really depends on what you want to use the machine for. I also had the 12-inch MacBook, the very first one that came out, and I love this machine. Yes, it's not very powerful. Yes, it only has one port. But if you're, for example, working as kind of like a blogger, which I did for most of the last year, it was a perfect machine. I could carry it everywhere. It was so light in the back. Typing was absolutely flawless. And to me, it was a great machine. But I also knew that I would never edit 4K content on that, not only because the processor isn't that powerful, but because it was just a hassle to connect on like external drives, SD cards, and so on. So if that's just a machine that you use, I don't know, for email work or other word processing, then the 12-inch is perfectly fine. If you want to have a better all-around machine, I would definitely recommend the 13-inch. Whether you need the touch bar or not is a different story. So that's kind of difficult to say. It's easier for me if you specify what you want to use the machine for, because there's definitely a big difference in terms of performance and also, of course, ports, which makes the usability one issue. The video 727 says it sucks that the 13-inch model still only has dual core. Yes, absolutely. I can't agree more. I think it's a huge shame. Would be amazing. I mean, I would probably switch to the 13-inch in an instant if there would actually be a quad-core version. But I don't think that we'll see this anytime soon. But it's a huge shame. The stream is hanging up. Let me see if I can change this. I can change this after the fact. So sorry for any issues with the live stream. Again, I have to use tethering on my phone, which is definitely not ideal, but I don't have faster internet here at my home, and I can't get faster internet either, so I'm kind of stuck with tethering, so I hope it will work for the most time. Again, sorry for the low frame rate, and I hope that it works, at least, kinda. Daniel Fumanek, I used the new 13-inch MacBook Pro, but without the touch bar. The reason is I had the chance to test it at the store, and it's horrible. You can't individualize the bar as much as you should. Yeah, I've heard that as well, that it changes contextually on whatever app you're in, and that this is something that not a lot of people might be interested in. So yeah. Water is Deep asks, what are your views on the future of the Mac Pro? And that's certainly a difficult topic. Again, I had the late 2013 MacBook Pro, the trash can, the quad-core version with the D300 GPUs, and I loved that machine because it was, for me, flawless as long as I used it. I also had 4 monitors hooked up to it, which isn't possible on a MacBook Pro. It isn't possible on the iMac, so it was kind of the only option that I had to have a Mac with connecting 4 displays, which was very important to me because I love to have like a 3-display surround setup and then also an additional TV connected to that. But it was just, or it is just so outdated in terms of performance that it is a huge shame, and I'm kind of speechless that Apple still hasn't updated it since late 2013. I don't think they give anything about pros anymore, or supposedly pros. I mean, it's just ridiculous what they try to sell you at, like 3,800 euros here in Germany. There's still a quad-core machine. I was happy when I sold it, and the sad part is that here my late 2014 MacBook Pro is so much faster at Final Cut exporting than my Mac Pro ever was, so that's just a huge shame. Nunu V, your opinion on Apple approach with the current product line? Thanks. First of all, thanks for watching to everybody, of course. And to me, it's kind of sad with Apple because I think I purchased my first MacBook back in 2007 or 2008. And ever since then, I've used Macs basically all the time for my video editing and also just for everyday tasks, because I feel like they require a lot less maintenance, they require a lot less troubleshooting than comparable Windows systems. And for a long time, they've also just been one step ahead in terms of keyboard, trackpad, build quality, service, and there was nothing coming close that could change my mind. And then last but certainly not least, it was also the software, because ever since I started using Final Cut Pro, it basically made it impossible for me to really leave the ecosystem. Now, if I wouldn't do YouTube, that would be a different story, because I mean, for every web-based task, I could just as well use a Windows machine. But since I edit so many videos, I'm kind of reliant on Final Cut Pro. And again, I'm also using the full Adobe Creative Suite on my Mac at work. And it's just such a horrible experience. I hate Premiere Pro. So it's a real shame to me that Apple seems to move into a direction where I don't feel addressed as a customer. I mean, there were always options that I had that I felt like would be good. I mean, on one side, the Mac Pro, that was very upgradable, at least until 2013. Then we had the iMac, that was also somewhat upgradable until the redesign happened with the smaller display, with the smaller frame and also the 5K display. Then we had the Mac Mini, which in some cases was also a great machine, but of course that wasn't updated in years. So first off, the Mac Pro is basically gone because it wasn't updated since 2013, which is a big shame. The iMac is a good machine overall, but I don't want to be limited to the display that's built into it, even though the 5K display is stunning. Again, I use it every day at work, but I don't want to be limited to a machine that has everything built into the display. I don't know if that makes really a lot of sense, but I want to have, for example, 3 individual displays all around me, and I can't do that with an iMac, especially now since there isn't even a cinema display anymore. Again, Mac Mini is completely dead, and the MacBook Pros were kind of the last all-in-one solution for me, because I felt like, okay, the 15-inch can do everything that I need, but I always had the big issue that I can only connect 2 external displays to it. So I'm not quite sure if this has changed with the new machines. That would be an interesting aspect, actually. Because if the new machines actually supported 3 WQHD displays, that might be another reason for me to look at them, but I don't think that's the case. So if there's still only support for 2 external displays, then honestly, there's no machine anymore in the Apple ecosystem or product lineup that I'm really interested in. And it's a real shame, because I don't want to leave the Mac ecosystem, especially because of Final Cut. But slowly I feel like I don't have another choice, because there's just no hardware anymore that I'm interested in, or that I feel like is at least somewhat good valued in terms of price. I mean, I paid 3,000 euros for my Mac Pro. I paid like 2,000 euros for the MacBook. But I just can't justify spending 2,700 euros for a new 15-inch. That's just ridiculous. And at some point, even I have to say, yes, I still prefer Final Cut. Yes, I think macOS is the superior operating system, but there's just no hardware for me anymore, so I'll have to switch. So I hope this won't happen anytime soon. I hope that my 15-inch MacBook Pro will do the job just fine for 1 or 2 more years, and maybe something else is happening with Apple, that they, I don't know, get their grip again on the Mac. But to me, it just feels like they care about the iPhone, and that's basically it. They care about the iPhone, they care about iOS, they don't even really care about the iPad anymore, and they certainly don't care about the Macs anymore. So they just let everything slowly dying except for the MacBook Pros that are new, but that's basically it. So I'm just disappointed by Apple. Alright, sorry for the long rant. I'll continue now with taking some questions. Sorry, but yeah, it's just such a shame. Thanks for your price. Like Midnight here. If you choose 15-inch, you said Intel Iris Pro version is good. Do you use it for heavy usage, or does it heat up, or better go for the AMD Radeon? I have the Iris Pro in mind and I'm absolutely fine, but if you pick up the 2016 MacBook Pro 15-inch, that you only have the chance of a dedicated GPU. There is no Iris Pro version anymore. With the Iris Pro, it doesn't really heat up that much though. What as deep do you think that Apple will update it in 2017? I think that's in regards to the Mac Pro. I don't think so. I think it'll just disappear and Apple doesn't give a you know what. Plug VR, I think it's really rather sad that they ditched the glooming logo. What do you think why they did this? Yeah, it's certainly an iconic part of the MacBooks, but we've already kind of seen it coming with the 12-inch MacBook, and I honestly don't understand why Apple is so crazily obsessed with making everything and every device slimmer and slimmer. I mean, at some point it just doesn't make any sense. You just use the space for more battery life or whatever. For me, I don't know, even for the glowing Apple logo, I don't care, or a better keyboard with more travel. The MacBook Pro Retina, the 15-inch MacBook Pro Retina or even a 13-inch were slim enough. There was no need to make them even slimmer. Just use the space for battery, the logo, for the keyboard, for SD card slots, for other ports. It's just a shame overall, and yeah, I can kind of see it with iPhones and iPads why they make them slimmer, so that it's easier to hold them. but usually you have your MacBook on your lap or you have it on your desk, and then, I don't know, like a few millimeters don't really make a huge difference anymore. Muhammad, I think it's better to buy the 2015 models instead of the 2016 model for the ports. I recommend you not to buy the 2016 models or even iPhone 7 because I think Apple will return to the ports and the 3.5mm headphone jack to the iPhone 7. Honestly, I unfortunately have to disagree because Apple has done this a lot of times where they ditched ports that were standard on most machines and they never looked back. And for the most part, that was the right decision. It was the right decision with the floppy disk drive. It was the right decision with the disk drive, the DVD or CD disk drive. And in a few years, nobody will look back and say they should have held on to, I don't know, like the regular USB port or display port. Everybody will be happy about USB Type-C because that's where all the ports and peripherals will be transforming in a couple of years. But right now it's not the right machine, so it might be the right choice in a few years, but right now I don't see it. But that Apple would, I don't know, like do a 180 and suddenly add the old ports again, I don't see this happen. Then they just do something like making the adapters cheaper. That's just the way Apple works. And then they're like, all right, you can now buy the adapters. We'll make some more profit off that. Yes, they ditched the glowing logo because of the display technology and because they wanted to make the display slimmer as well. And so that they could slim down the entire machine, they got rid of the glowing Apple logo. Ahmed, will you do a giveaway soon, sir? I currently don't have any plans for it, and it's always kind of difficult for me because I'm incredibly thankful for everybody who's watching and I would love to give back with giveaways, but my issue is that I'm based in Germany. So, for example, if I would give away, I don't know, let's say headphones or Bluetooth speaker, then I would want to make this giveaway international. So there would be people entering from India, from, I don't know, from the US, from China. And if I purchase here, I don't know, like headphones for like 100 or 200 euros, then would probably like cost me 90 euros to ship it, I don't know, to the US with import charges and so on, or to China it would be even worse. And so it's just a big issue. And I don't really like that, so that's kind of why I avoid giveaways. Also, because I don't want people to just subscribe to my channel for giveaways. This isn't a giveaway channel. I want to help you guys with my videos. I want to do reviews that are helpful. I want to make these purchase recommendations in terms of what MacBook is right for you. I don't want you to watch this channel or to subscribe to the channel just for giveaways. There are other channels for that. I won't name them. So, the mighty small one. I'm a photography student and need a new MacBook Pro. I'm debating which one to get between this year's new MacBook Pro or last year's MacBook Pro. I want the best performance in Photoshop and Lightroom. Suggestions for me? If you want the best performance, there's only one answer I can give you. The new MacBook Pros are the most powerful MacBook Pros that Apple has ever released. So, if it's just about the performance, there's no way around the 15-inch 2016 MacBook Pro and then just speccing it out as much as you can because it just has the best performance that you can get. But it will be incredibly expensive. So if you are willing to give up a little bit of performance, for example, for the 2015 15-inch, then this might also be a good choice. And again, I use it in Photoshop, I use it in Premiere, I use it in Final Cut, and for me the performance even with the 2.2 GHz i7 is perfectly fine. So of course you might be an even heavier user than I am, so maybe you need a little bit of extra power that the new machines offer, but if that's not the case, then this would be also good to still go with the 2015 because this will also save you a ton of money. Stupid question, but is considering MacBook Air or 2012 MacBook Pro even an option? It's not a stupid question because everybody has to look out what their budget is and to purchase the best machine for this budget. But I wouldn't recommend purchasing a 2012 machine because It's a 4-year-old machine, and especially with SSDs that are degrading and that are getting less and less reliable the more you use them, I don't think it's a good investment, because it doesn't help you if you purchase a 2012 MacBook Pro or MacBook Air now and it fails you in like 6 months. So maybe save up a little bit more and get on like a 2014 or 2015. Maybe refurbished from Apple, maybe on a discount from a store. Maybe you can get education discount from Apple. There are a couple of different solutions that you might be able to go. Also just recertified from other sellers, or also Amazon warehouse deals are a great solution where you can often save a lot of money. Did you already cover the MacBook? Yes, I talked a little bit about it. And if you have any specific questions, just leave them in the chat or in the comments. Pokers. HT Blue Veiled, Apple's biggest flaw is the ridiculous pricing. I have to agree. I mean, if the MacBook was 1,000 years less, I would already have the new MacBook. No doubt about that. And yes, I can afford it, I can buy it, but I just don't see the extra benefit. Exporting a video 10 seconds faster isn't worth 1,000 euros for me. I mean, for that price, I can already kind of get a Mavic Pro, and that's completely different item that I don't have that allows me to record from different angles. So I think there are better aspects of my gear or just equipment in general, or even things that I enjoy that I can really spend this money on. Paul Welford, hey buddy, you're doing a great job. I'm traveling to Germany again for Christmas, can't wait. Hope one day we could meet up. Yeah, just send me a message, I don't know, like on Facebook or Twitter, Paul, and maybe we can even meet this year. So if you're around, definitely let me know. I'm definitely available, and we can certainly work something out. And I'm kind of central in Germany, so I can get to Cologne easily. I can get to Stuttgart. Berlin is kind of far away, but I think we definitely make this meetup happen. Pokers, in case you want a light Windows laptop with the 1060, what's the best option? Honestly, I'm not an expert in terms of Windows machines, but I was looking at alternatives to my MacBook. And the machine that I always stumbled across were the Razer notebooks, because they're also now available in Germany, which they weren't for a very long time. So I'm not exactly sure of the names. I mean, there's the Razer Blade, there's the Razer Blade Stealth, but I think the Razer Blade is also available with pretty good dedicated GPUs. Excuse me for 1 second. I quickly have to drink something. I'll be right back. Maybe it even works like that. Alright, so I'm back. Sorry, but talking for like half an hour straight is something that I'm not used to, and I have to drink something. So the point is, 2016 MacBook Pro is already expensive, plus you can't even connect your pen drives or the new iPhone 7 or a Bluetooth keyboard. What were they thinking? Well, you can connect a Bluetooth keyboard because it has Bluetooth, so that's certainly possible, but for the iPhone 7 you definitely need an adapter, as you need for most things. Amit, hello sir, I currently own a Windows 10 gaming laptop and I want to know if it's worth to buy the 2016 MacBook. Specs of the laptop, 32 gigabytes of RAM, 2 terabytes storage, 17-inch 1080p display, Intel Core i7 processor. I mean, it sounds like a very beefy configuration that you have right there of your Windows machine. Let me know what you want to use the MacBook for, and then I can tell you more if I think it's good to ditch this powerful Windows laptop. The mighty small one, thank you very much. I'm going to have a better look into the 2015 model of the 15-inch and see how much I can spec it out with my budget. Hopefully I'll be able to run Photoshop without issue. Yes, you can definitely run Photoshop without any issues on the 2015 version. Also, again, my recommendation to look at Amazon warehouse deals, to just look at Amazon in general, to look at the Apple refurbished section, to look at I don't know, good second-hand deals, maybe also with warranty. So that way you can definitely save a ton of money. And I also know actually a graphic designer at my work who's using the 2015 15-inch version of the MacBook Pro base configuration for all of his daily work. And he uses Photoshop every day for hours. He uses InDesign. He uses After Effects. He uses Adobe Bridge. He uses what else is there? Oh, there's so many Creative Cloud apps. I can't make them up right now. So Marius, MacBook Pro is made by the others, not by Apple, and that's the problem. It's a significant problem here, and everybody is trickier. That's why you have this discussion. Apple is still a good product, overpriced from the advertising. Right. Peter, Apple's latest product decisions show a clear lack of vision, coupled with ridiculous pricing to make the best of the present and completely disregarding the customers and their own future. Well, I don't think that they disregard their future, but it certainly feels like they don't know what the customers want anymore, and that's a real shame, and I hope that it will be changing again in the near future, even though I don't see it. I mean, the only thing that for me Apple could kind of fix the Mac situation is, first off, drop the MacBook Air. It's just outdated, it has a horrible TN display. Make the 13-inch MacBook Pro, the new one, the MacBook Air. Make this the only available 13-inch MacBook Air with the 2 ports without touch bar. And sell it for like $1,200 or 1,200 euros. Then make the just keep the 12-inch MacBook for whatever reason. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense. This should kind of be the MacBook Air. All right, I'll start fresh. So, 12-inch MacBook. Make this the MacBook Air because it's just the lightest MacBook that you offer. It has a Retina display. It barely has any ports, but again, it's the lightest machine. It's not very powerful, but for most people it will be fine in terms of MacBook Air. Then make the 13-inch MacBook Pro without touch bar the MacBook. Then just start all touch bar MacBooks as the MacBook Pros. So we have a 13-inch MacBook Pro with touch bar and we have a 15-inch MacBook Pro with touch bar. That way you kind of at least have a MacBook lineup that makes sense. You have the MacBook Air, which is the lightest and least powerful, but with a Retina display. You have the MacBook, which is kind of middle of the road, also needs to be cheaper, of course, and lacks the touch bar and Touch ID. And then for pros, you still have the ones with touch bar and more performance, more ports again. So that would kind of make sense at least, but then you also would have to drop the price at least like $500 to $700 or euros on each configuration. And that way I think the Mac lineup would make sense. And at those prices, I think it's also easier for customers to get over the lack of ports. Marius, if you want a Mac with OS system, okay, then buy a Mac. If you want a PC with Windows 10, then buy a Windows system. Only if these things are helping you, then follow them. If not, by others. Bye-bye and have a nice day. Thank you for watching and have a nice day as well. Marius, a MacBook is good for checking mails and something fast as social sites. It's not a powerhouse for gaming or development. Is good for on the go and that's all. Slimmer and faster, that's the product Mac. I don't agree because for me it's certainly a pro machine since I make a huge part of my money with the MacBook, and that for me qualifies it as a pro device because I use it to make my money and I get this done on a MacBook better than I would on a Windows machine, even if the Windows machine would be way more powerful because the optimization of Final Cut Pro with 4K video editing is just insane. Vic P asks, is it okay to ask for your qualification? Are you a developer, designer, or full-time YouTuber? Sure, you can definitely ask about my background, no doubt about that. So currently, I'm a marketing manager, full-time employed, and in that task, I'm building websites for the company that I work for and also the companies that we acquire. So I'm building websites kind of in like a somewhere a cross between a graphic designer, programmer, and website developer, if that makes sense. On top of that, I also go to events and make videos, record them, produce them for the company, also make product videos at times, behind the scenes shots of, shootings that we have. So that's what I do most of my time, or full time, and then YouTube is just something that I do on top of that. Last year I was self-employed, and I was making most of my money as an author for, or blogger for a couple of websites like Notebook Check, Macworld, and so on. So that's kind of how I made my living last year, and of course YouTube as well. But now again, I'm a full-time employed marketing manager, online marketing manager, if you so will. Marius, a MacBook Touch in China is at the value $1,000 here in America, and Europe over $2,500 US. Why? Because that's a profit expensive here, overpriced. Well, at least here in Europe is also sales tax. In the US, on the online price, you usually don't have sales tax. Depending on where you order it from, you also don't need to pay sales tax, so that's also something that you have to consider. But here in Germany, there's already 19% sales tax included, so that immediately makes the machines more expensive as well. Oh, Marius, a 12-inch MacBook. Of course, yes, the 12-inch MacBook is mainly for web tasks and not really for heavy video editing or photo editing, no doubt about that. HDB Luvate, Apple's Pro label changed from professional to sell it to average consumer for a ridiculous price. The iPad Pro is just a logical evolution, and Apple makes and selling it for $200 more than the Air. You can definitely see it that way. I mean, it's another question what Pro really means. To me, professional means that you use your machines or your equipment to make money with it, and that without the equipment you couldn't make the money. So I personally feel like I use the MacBook Pro as a professional machine. Yes, I know I'm not producing, like Hollywood shows, and you wouldn't produce that on the MacBook. But I still make a good part of my living with it, so for me it's still a professional machine, even though of course I wouldn't be sad if there would be more power built in. So yeah, but of course the iPad Pro, I can see where you're coming from. To me, the iPad Pro is just a big mobile TV kinda. I just watch YouTube on it. I don't use it to create art, to edit videos. So yeah, the iPad Pro is definitely more like a consumer device with Pro branding, no doubt about that. Peter, I don't think lack of ports will be such a big problem with more and more USB-C monitors coming to act as a dock, so you only need one cable going to the laptop. Yes, in 1, 2, maybe 3 years, I don't think that USB Type-C will be any issue at all, but I think it's just a little bit too early, at least for me. So that's also why I don't purchase the new MacBook Pro. If it's not early or too early for you, then the MacBook is the right choice. So yeah, in a couple of years, we'll be looking back and saying, oh, fortunately, Apple had the courage to drop all the ports and to move to USB Type-C so that others in the industry will implement this standard faster as well. But at least right now, it's too early for me. I don't want to lose the SD card slot. I don't want to lose the regular USB ports. And I don't always only use all the dongles. It's just inconvenient. I don't want to take my MacBook with me and then just realize, oh, I lost 3 dongles on the way and now I can't use the machine. I'd rather have a heavier machine that has everything built in. Thank you for giving a note on your background. Do you think Apple will introduce a full touch display? First of any time, of course, you're always welcome to ask any question, but I don't think that Apple will introduce a full touchscreen display in the next 5 years. It's a shame, but I don't think it's coming. Which doesn't say that doesn't happen. I was wrong before, but currently it doesn't seem like it. Marius, when you make a site, what apps for app stores are you using, like Text Wrangler, Xcode on Windows? Things are better. 99% of the companies are using Wine 7 or 8 in their office, believe me, here in Romania. Well, in terms of how I work on websites, it's a lot different from how other people would do it, also at my work. So we kind of have two different website levels. So the first one was a huge relaunch of the company website of the company that I work for. And for that, I worked together with an agency that actually developed and programmed the page. And I'm kind of responsible for the design in terms of telling them how we want the design to look like, what we need, what features we want to have implemented. And then they program this for us. And I just take care of updating the website and just keeping it up to date all the time in Typo 3. And then we have other websites that are smaller for companies that we purchase, for example, or also for special projects. And usually I produce those sites. Excuse me. Drinking water with gas on a live stream is not a good idea. So anyways, and then on the other hand, we have these smaller websites for specific events, if we buy companies and so on, that I usually create in Adobe, what was the name? Muse, Adobe Muse. So I don't really code in that app. It's kind of like Photoshop for websites, if you want to think of this like that. But it's great to create simple websites. I have one with like 35 to 36 pages and it worked pretty well for that. But of course it doesn't have like a CMS behind it. So it's kind of a different level. So I don't program websites from the beginning. So again, I'm not really a programmer. I'm an online marketing manager who's working on websites, creating videos, working with agencies to create new websites and so on. So in terms of programming itself, that's usually not what I do. Byron Davis, longtime fan of the channel. Is Apple going to release add-ons via the Thunderbolt to make up for the lack of horsepower under the hood? Keep up the great work. First off, thank you very much for the support, Byron. I really appreciate it. I don't think that there will be any Apple accessories to make up for the lack of performance. So I assume you kind of mean something like the Thunderbolt 3 dock by Razer that can be used to, for example, add external GTX 1080s. I don't think this will be coming from Apple. That being said, it might be coming from third-party developers, which is definitely a possibility, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see this. But then again, there's the question, is there really a big market for those external GPU cases for Mac users? And I'm not quite sure of that. You said it right, iPad Pro is a giant TV. Well, that's the way I use it, and that's why I love the iPad Pro 12-inch. It's the best portable TV. Definitely, even I think it's early for no ports. Definitely cloud is the future, and with wireless charging, Apple's next MacBook Pro might not have any ports, right? Yeah, I think we're probably like 4 or 5 years off of that, but I can definitely see this coming. If there is a wireless charging standard coming that will be able to recharge items or products over a longer range, so maybe like 1 or 2 meters, or I don't know, like 3 to 9 feet, then I think we are ready to also ditch the charging cable, which I would be very excited for. Marius, and Europe, no MacBook or iMac in the office, only Windows PCs, and I'm here on MacBook Pro 13-inch Retina, early 2015, 2.7 gigabytes, 128 gigabyte SSD, I like it. Second one at me after 12-inch. There are some YouTubers who use iMovie. Do you think iMovie is comparable to Final Cut Pro? Because Final Cut Pro costs like $500 at my place. I've used iMovie for a very long time until I snatched up like coupon codes for the App Store. I don't know, like 20 or 30% off. Sometimes you can get these gift cards that are 20% off or 33% off for the App Store. And then I just purchased a bunch of them. And then I basically got Final Cut Pro, which usually retails at least here for like 330 euros, for like 250 with the 33% rebate. So if you can get something like this with good deals on gift cards, that would be a solution. But especially for YouTube, I think iMovie for most tasks would be fine. And probably I could still also edit my videos in iMovie, to be honest, because there's no spectacular editing involved. I've done a little bit with Motion, which is great in terms of text tracking, but it's just a ton of work. Waziv, will you buy the iPhone 7 Plus if you already own a 6S Plus, or would I? Well, I currently don't even have an iPhone at all. The last iPhone that I personally had was the iPhone 6, and I'm not really ready to go back to the iPhone because the price isn't justified for me anymore. But if I already had a 6S Plus, I don't think that I would switch to the iPhone 7 Plus, except if you really want or need the new speakers or that the phone is waterproof. That would be kind of like killer features for me. Ankit, is 2016 a MacBook Pro good for After Effects? Honestly, I don't think that After Effects or Premiere Pro work too well on Macs. I can't really imagine that they run even worse on Windows machines. So I've used After Effects and also Premiere Pro on my completely spec'd out iMac 5K at work, and it was not really a pleasant use, especially with 4K content. Full HD content is fine, but it's just a shame. So I don't think that the Adobe apps overall work too well on Macs anymore. I don't know, maybe like Photoshop and Muse are exceptions, but Premiere Pro and After Effects aren't really that great from my experience. Morton, just got my 5K iMac today and I love it. So crisp, a beast of a machine. Yes, the display is absolutely stunning. Again, I use it every day at work, and definitely an amazing display to look at and must be one of the best out there. The video 77, I hope that Apple will make the new MacBook Pro compatible with the next generation Apple Pencil. Then the gigantic trackpad would finally make sense. Yes, that would definitely be an option. I've seen something around that already, but I wouldn't really bet on it. Would be a nice implementation though, especially now where the trackpad is incredibly huge. Marius, you know what's bad at the MacBook? Even this one with Touch Bar, the full 15-inch model can't play games in full specs and is even $3,500. What a shame, and Lenovo had this Touch Bar in the past. Yeah, but then again, Macs were never meant for gaming and they still aren't for gaming. I know that a lot of people can't relate to that because they take gaming always as, I don't know, like a standard for how good a machine is. But a lot of people just don't game. So if I don't game, it doesn't matter to me if the new MacBook Pro can't run games at full resolution. I mean, the resolution on the MacBook Pro is pretty high anyways. So at full HD, it could probably run those games. But of course, at the resolution of the display, it's kind of tough. And again, Apple doesn't focus on putting the most powerful hardware in the machines. It's about optimization. I mean, they don't need to put, I don't know, like GTX 1080 in the MacBook Pro if another GPU that doesn't heat up as much, that doesn't take as much energy, still delivers very good results in optimized apps like Final Cut Pro. So yeah, I don't know, gaming to me is not really a standard that I have to measure MacBooks by, but of course I can definitely see your point. Yes, you can get better spec'd Windows machines for a fraction of the price, no doubt about that. Thank you for your advice anytime. Thank you very much for watching. Have you heard about iPhone 8 rumors? I know it's too early and all the rumors might not be true, but with OLED display, foldable screen and wireless charging, will you go back to the iPhone? I honestly don't think that there'll be spectacular changes to the iPhone 8. Maybe wireless charging, because that's not really spectacular at all. But I don't really see a foldable screen coming. Maybe OLED, because OLED has improved a lot over the last couple of years, and Apple is already using OLED in the Touch Bar, they're already using OLED in the Apple Watch, so they might be ready to also switch to OLED in the iPhone, and then they'll sell it as a revolutionary new display technology that nobody else will use. Yeah, like they usually do. And of course Samsung had that for years. I hope Apple sells a new Magic Keyboard with Touch Bar for cheap, $299.99. What a deal. Oh yes, I can definitely see that coming. Which notebook would you buy today? It is becoming hard. It certainly is becoming hard. Let me know what you want to use the machine for, then I might be able to help you decide. I ask about games because if you want to do 3D modeling gaming, a MacBook ain't the product that can handle a game for the box to make a game. Oh, okay. Yeah. Maybe if you are in different professional fields, for example, like 3D modeling, then the MacBook Pro might also not be the right choice. For video editing and photo editing, I think they're still great choices. But again, your mileage might vary depending on what you use it for. But of course, from that standpoint, I can definitely see what you're coming from and what you mean. Oh, they sure have a lot of courage, especially if they want to release like a keyboard for $299. I wouldn't be too surprised. Excuse me again for 1 second. I think I'm also through all of the comments, so if you have more questions, just leave them there. I'll be back in 1 second. Alright, I'm back. Wasn't a second, sorry, I lied. Okay, new questions. I'm going to use it for basic tasks, but also a lot of video editing. Well then, 13 or 15-inch MacBook Pro, I would still go with the 2015 versions to save some money and to still have the ports. If you're already ready to drop that, then the new 13 or 15-inch MacBook Pro 2016. Marius, even I know all this about the new MacBooks. I still want the MacBook 13-inch with Touch Bar because I'm an Apple fan. I mean, the machine looks absolutely nice. I mean, I can definitely understand that. Where's the Trump flag? There's no Trump flag. That's just a self-painted picture from the US flag. Where do you see Trump? There's no Trump flag. Lucas and Pikachu. My mom has an iPhone 7 and I find the headphone jack removal a problem. Certainly is for most people. Also a reason why I wouldn't buy the iPhone 7. Thank you, of course, always happy to answer any questions and to help. Apple does have patent for foldable screen, but doesn't look like the iPhone 8 would be revolutionary. Remember the slide down keyboard, like photonic technology, viral video, don't see that coming. Honestly, Apple has like millions and millions of patents, but they barely seem to use them. I bought a 2015 15-inch MacBook Pro for 1,700 euros. At least I don't feel completely ripped off. Oh yes, that was a good deal. I kind of paid the same for mine and definitely worth that price, but I wouldn't pay 2,700. What are you guys talking about? There's no Trump flag. I don't even know what you guys mean. Please specify that. I'll move out of the way, so... What do you guys mean? I know this is about tech, but I want to know what they mean with the Trump flag. I mean, there's just the US flag without the stars because they're just kind of missing. It's like self-painted. And it's like a couple of years old. Ah, Okay. Well, below the US flag, they're just I can't talk. It's too late here in Germany. Below the US flag, there are 3 AOC i2369 VM monitors that I also have a review of on the channel. And those are also the monitor arms below them. And that's kind of the setup that I used before getting the Dell monitor. So currently there's nothing hooked up to that setup, and I'm in my new office, which was the home theater room before that. You guys are crazy, but it's fun. This month I'm going to buy a new 13-inch model with or not touch bar. I like the new MacBook Pro because it's the way. If you like the new MacBook Pro, go for it. You guys are killing me. But it's good to see that you guys are sticking around. I really appreciate that. And I'm already talking for an hour, which is crazy. So I guess I'll wrap it up in a little bit. So if you have some last minute questions, then tell them. I'll leave them in the chat and I'll make sure to answer them. But then I'll sign off in a couple of minutes. I need to drink more. It's kind of exhausting and it's a little bit late here. But it was already a great time here on the stream. So already thank you very much to everybody who's watching. I really appreciate it. And I think I'll definitely do this more often. I'll also publish a recording here of this live stream on the channel. So maybe we'll get some more interaction after the stream is published. And then I also hope that we can make this on like maybe a monthly thing if you guys are up for it. Okay, so I think I skipped over one question. Alright, Imse Global. What is your opinion on the Mac Mini? Well, I had the Mac Mini. I think it was the first unibody Mac Mini, but it still had the disk drive. And I personally really liked the machine. Because again, even though Apple's displays are usually I can't talk. Apple displays are usually very good, especially with like the 5K iMac. But I still like to choose my own displays. Again, also because I like to have a surround view of like 3 monitors. And therefore I really, really liked the Mac Mini, especially when it was still upgradable in terms of SSD. But of course, it's one of these products that Apple just leaves out there dying, that they don't care about, that they don't update. And so I just feel like it's dead. And I don't think it will return anytime soon. And even if Apple would refresh it, there's probably nothing anymore that you can upgrade by yourself. And so it's not really interesting either. The question why Apple is ruining the Mac Mini is also a good one. Probably they just don't make enough profit on it, and probably the sales numbers weren't high enough. But that's something that you can say about basically every Mac product. So I don't know. I think Macs are only a hobby for Apple anymore because they make all their money with iOS, so they don't really care about it anymore. Imse Global, you're awesome. Thanks for answering my question and rather good looking. Thanks. Good night. I hope you also had a great evening and that you'll continue to have a good evening. And I really appreciate that you guys are tuning in. Marius, okay, in my opinion, the MacBooks and iPhones are stable operating system, very good products, but some old people can't handle them. Don't understand the product, that's the problem with Apple and people. Yes, MacBooks and iPhones are very stable in terms of operating system in my experience. Now it has changed a little bit. It's not as stable anymore as it used to be. But still, I just feel like macOS and also iOS require less troubleshooting than Android and Windows. And that's also why I stick with macOS specifically. And for older people, of course, it's an issue. I think actually that macOS is an easier and simpler operating system than Windows. But the problem just is that most old people have only used Windows for their entire life. And then to suddenly switch to macOS is definitely a big change. Dude, late at your place, I'm like in the middle of the night, rage mode, just kidding, loved your Q&A. Yeah, it's like 10 p.m. right now, but still everything's fine. It's Saturday, so it's the weekend, it's all good. Okay, have a great night and thanks for answering these questions. I subscribed on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you, glad to hear that, I'm really appreciative of that. It's amazing that you guys just came out here and asked all the questions. I mean, it's always great to get a conversation started, and next time I'll also schedule this live stream longer, so I'm like 24 hours in advance so that everybody knows when it starts. Maybe we can get more people out here as well to also get more conversations started, but I think it was a very, very good live stream after a couple of years, the first one again. So I really appreciate you guys who made this possible, who made the channel possible, or who make the channel still possible, and that's great. Is the 2010 Mac Mini you have then? It has Super Drive. Yes, it was the 2010, but I don't have it anymore. Byron Davis, thanks man. Thank you, Byron. Schönes Restwochenende von Rock'n'Rolf Hamburg. Schönes Restwochenende. Hi Stuart, sorry, but I'm about to close the Q&A. I'm live for over an hour and I think I'll have to head offline in a little bit. And Patrick is here as well. Guten Abend, Patrick. Morten, what is you? I'm a tech YouTuber, so if you want to see reviews of headphones, microphones, computers, MacBooks, smartphones, tablets, subscribe. And sorry, Patrick, but your timing is pretty bad. I was just about to go offline, but you can still, of course, watch the recording of this live stream, which I would highly recommend because it was very entertaining. But also, thank you very much for the support. I always see in the comment and I really appreciate it. Morten, what is your main machine? So, okay, I'll answer some more questions. My main machine is a 15-inch late 2014 MacBook Pro with 2.2 GHz Intel Core i7, Iris Pro, 16 gigs of RAM and 256 GB SSD. Joseph, I'm getting the MacBook Pro 2015, 256 GB and 2016 without touch bar for the same price. Which one would you suggest? If you can live with the ports, then, or with the lack of ports, and I would probably go with the 2016 just because the components are newer. If the ports are an issue, go with the 2015. But honestly, if the price is the same, I'll probably go with the new one. Yeah, sorry, Patrick, that this always happens to you. But if you have one question left, then just ask me and then I'll make sure to answer it before I go offline. Alexander, I saw a review that said the LG 27 UD68 matte coating is bad. How is it compared to the Dell monitors you've reviewed? The coating on the LG was actually very, very similar to the Dell. Now I'm currently sitting in front of the UP2516D and the coating on the LG was almost identical. So I don't think it's really an issue. Alright, Patrick, then have a good evening. Alright, so I'll wrap up the stream right now. I think I answered all the questions that I could. You guys really made my evening tonight, and it was just a pleasure to hang out with you guys, and I definitely want to make this more often, maybe like once a month. I'll see about that. I still also have to find a better internet connection because this wasn't the best here with tethering over my phone. I don't even want to see how much data I've used up, so I'll end this right here. Again, thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate you guys, and you guys are really what make YouTube worth it and what makes this channel so special to me. So thanks again. Also, thanks for people like you who are staying awake till like 4 a.m. That's amazing. Thanks again. I'm signing off. See you next time.